Yo, what's good guys? The Brew and Grows back at you, another quick little video. So in this video we're going to talk to you about what you sort of need to get started for indoor growing. So number one thing obviously you're going to need is a tent, that's for sure. This is a 4x4 grow tent, so it's, you know, has decently space in it, right? You can fit a few plants in there, you can fit a nice sized light. But the thing you're going to have to realize is the bigger grow tent that you have, the bigger light you're going to need, just because it's the more space, right, to displace the light. So this is a 4x4 with a 400 watt LED. Basically what I've been told is basically 100 watt a foot. So if you have if you're like in a 2x2, you know, you can get like a 200 watt light. 3x3 a 300 watt light, 4x4, you know, obviously I got a 400 watt. Some people like you know, even a 4x4, I've seen people with like 600 and 800 watt lights in there. That's perfectly fine. It's just everybody's preference and what type of light you exactly have. But this is a Bloom Plus. It's a full spectrum. It's a BP 4000, so it's a 400 watt LED. Towards the end of the grow I started using it on my last grow, and it seemed to work pretty well. We're gonna test it out from seed to finish and see how it goes. But yeah, you're gonna need a so obviously number one, a tent, whatever size that you guys can technically have for in your house. Lots of people start out with a 2x2 and then go up further after when they get their first, you know, couple grows in. And then you can use that same grow tent, as long as it's still, you know, in decently shape, to use as like a mother room, you know. So if like you enjoy a certain strain, you can just keep a mother growing in that one tent, and then have your other tent, which, let's just say if it's a 4x4 like this one, you can have all your flowering cycle in this one. You're gonna need a light. Like I said, it goes off by what size your tent is, so you have to look up, do a couple things online, figure out what you want and what you technically can have for indoors. You need a light. You need a timer in the back for when your lights or light, depends if you're running, you know, one or multiple, to turn on and off. So right now I'm in seedlings, I'm doing 18-6, so 18 on, 6 off. That's basically a veg cycle. You can keep it on for 24 hours if you really want, but I usually do 18-6 for veg, and then, you know, 12 on, 12 off for flower. But besides the fact, so you need a timer. You're probably going to need like an extension cord, like a brick to plug in all your stuff. You're going to need some fans. I would personally have 2 at least in your tent. One blowing down at the top, and then one blowing one blowing down at the top, and then one blowing at the bottom. But right now I only have one in here for right now, just because obviously, you know, I'm just starting these out, just getting, like, you know, some circulation flowing. And then rule number 1, make sure that the room that you're growing in is completely dark. So if you have like windows in there, to either put a blanket or a garbage bag, or make sure you got some good blinds that don't allow any light. Even though this is a tent, there's still, like, you know, you're gonna have your little side screens off to have your exhaust fan, right? So you're gonna need, if there's light in the room, you don't want it shining through, especially if the lights are off in the tent. Yeah, so you need fans, timer, tent, light, exhaust fan. That's always helpful to push the air out and bring in clean air in. And you can have a air filter, like one of those charcoal filters for these, if you don't like the stinkiness. But that's mainly for just bud cycle. When you're in bud, usually you put that in there. But yeah, so tent, light, timer, fans, exhaust fan. Number one thing I'd also have is zip ties. Those are always handy, mainly just so you can, you know, zip tie your wires all up in one side, up along these poles, just so it's cleaner at the bottom, right? Another thing is you might need a dehumidifier or a humidifier. It depends. If you're growing in the summertime, you're definitely going to need a dehumidifier, more than likely. Those can get a little expensive, but if you want to save your plants from getting powdery mildew and bugs, I'd suggest getting one. If you're like me and you like to wait, even though I do have a dehumidifier, but I usually have that, you know, making sure just in case, because even right now when it's starting to get, you know, cooler outside, so the humidity levels is dropping, your house can still hold, you know, humidity. You don't want to make sure your temps are good. That being said, you're going to need a temperature and it usually comes all in one for to check your temps and to see your humidity in your tent. I usually keep one in the tent and one outside the tent just to double check all the readings. And then another thing you're going to need, obviously, the light focuses. You're going to need some dirt. This is just a sunshine mix, cheap, you know, but it works. Nice, get a big bale, and you're gonna need some nutrients right off the start. If you're just starting out, you can just get like an A and B mix for veg and bloom. You can start off with that instead of trying to, you know, you don't want to, in the very beginning of growing, you don't want to go to the grocery store and pick up all these different nutrients, even though it says, oh, you know, this one's gonna make your plants, you know, nice and big and crystally. Because if you put too much nutrients in your dirt and your soil, you can get newt burn, you can do a bunch of funky things to your plants. So in the very beginning of growing, I just start out with an A and B and go from there. Make sure you check your water if you want. Like if you're on city, you gotta watch out for tap water so the pH isn't too high. If you're on like a well, you still sometimes, you know, you should still always double check just to make sure. That's basically it. You need a light. Like I said, this is a Bloom Plus light. They come in multiple sizes. You need a tent. You don't need to get, you know, the most expensive stuff. That's always a myth. You know, there's times where it is nice to have, you know, nice stuff. But if anything, I would say to put your most money into is a light. So if you're working with like $1,200 or $1,000, I'd put the most of it into your light. Just get a cheap tent off Amazon. They probably still make these type of tents on Amazon. I wouldn't be surprised. But that is the tent, or the brand. It was just a cheap one, but it's held me pretty good. And yeah, that's basically it, guys, for what you sort of need to start growing. You need obviously your pots and your soil, but you know, the biggest I would probably go for indoor right off the hop is 3.5 gal, so 3.5 gallon pots, and then yeah, go from there. See, make sure you always double check your plants. Make sure you get some feminized seeds, especially if you don't know how to determine or what to do if you're on regular seeds. Make sure you got female seeds, not males, because you definitely don't want males. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much all that I can sort of think of right at the hop. Just a quick video on what you sort of need to start you up for growing. Like I said, right now this isn't really much. This is just mainly to get these going. But in reality, technically, you could already use basically what I have already in here just for these seeds to start growing. Just add an extra fan. You know, you got your bale of dirt. Transplant your plants every few times. You know, obviously if they're getting root bound, you're going to want to transplant them, but usually when you're in the final stage and you've already transplanted them for bud, that's usually the last time you transplant plants. Personally, that's what I do. And then yeah, go online, read about how to you know, do certain stuff with your plants. You know, super crop, tie them down, you know, topping them, all that stuff like that. But yeah, guys, just a quick video on what you sort of need. Pretty sure I got all the basic points. I said make sure to keep your room nice and dark even though it is in a tent, especially when the lights are off. The lights are on, you know, you can flip your lights on and come in and check them out and stuff. But so yeah, you're gonna need your tent, your light, your fans, your timers, your exhaust fan, your dirt, and your pots, and a bottle of some newts for some nutrients after you get your plants going. And that's basically about it for the starter and what you need. But yeah, guys, hopefully I guess it kind of helped you. This was me just quickly talking through on what you sort of need to start up, for what you need for a little startup indoor grow. But yeah, guys, hopefully you guys have a good one, and peace, happy growing.